We all carry a great deal of emotional baggage around with us, and we need to find a way of letting it go which is non-abusive. Now, if you can imagine that in your chest you carry an imaginary tank full of all the things, the unresolved conflicts that have happened to you since the day you were born, any trauma experiences, any experiences of loss. You may have lost a sibling or a parent or a pet even. You may have been bullied at school. All these things leave scar tissue on us. When an argument's going on, we often have the mistaken belief it's to do with the issue being discussed, but not necessarily, because a trigger word could have been used that's neither insulting, critical, abusive or offensive. But what it's done is flooded the body with feelings not accompanied by any memories, and so we're back in a place of horrible feelings and presume that they're to do with what the issue is that we're arguing about. What we do is help people to recognise the emotional baggage they're coming round, to identify it. For example, when your head's going round in circles, driving you crazy, and you're trying to stop that process, there are many coping strategies we encourage people to use to halt that process. The one I would highlight among all of them, though, would be writing. First 10 or 15 minutes are hard to get started, but you're not writing from your thoughts, you're writing from your feelings. If it comes out in abusive language, that's fine, because nobody's ever going to read it. One guy just wrote the same swear word for 12 solid pages before he connected. If you find yourself stabbing the page, you connected emotionally, so that's good. And it's healing, although at the time it doesn't feel like it. Eventually you'll come to a natural end, and as soon as you've put the pen down, destroy what you wrote immediately. Under no circumstances read it. It's like you're getting rid of toxic poisoning out of your system. If you read it, you're putting all that poison back in, and you'll be twice as angry as when you started. Shred it, burn it, make sure it's destroyed. One woman read hers 2 days later and trashed her house. Another gentleman, he had some very negative feelings towards one of his children. So he wrote it all out of his system. Unfortunately, he put it in a safe place. 5 years later, after they'd separated and his partner found it, she used it against him in court to say he was a bad father. And what he was doing was just writing out how he felt. He'd no intentions of putting any of his feelings into practice. The feedback from people who do the writing, they all say it feels like a huge weight has been lifted. But the reality is nothing's actually changed. They've still got the same problems, but they're not overburdened, they're not overwhelmed by them anymore. They're back in charge of their emotional state, and that's where it's worth its weight in gold. Another coping strategy would be deep breathing exercises. So it's inhaling as deeply as you can for a count of 7, holding it for 4 seconds, and then exhaling up to a count of 10. And that way it starts bringing your adrenaline levels down. In the past, we've been asked if boxing would be a suitable way of letting go of excess stress and tension. But it begs the question, what happens if there isn't anything to hit? There are many ways of letting go of that stress and tension that are non-violent. Any kind of aerobic activity will run off that excess energy and bring it down to a more manageable level. Sometimes it's not possible to take a time out when you're angry. For example, a single parent with young children, she can't just take herself off. What I've heard one or two of them saying is they put some lively music on, get the children up dancing. I remember one mum saying to me, my children don't even know when I'm angry now, because we all get up and jig about, and I get that stress out of my system. Crying is the body's way of letting go of excess stress and tension. Unfortunately, many men have been socialised not to do it. So it's encouraging them to become emotionally connected. And we had one young man. He'd been in and out of prison for 20 years, and he was desperate to cry. He'd heard all the other men say how good it felt. And in desperation one day, he went to the video shop, got the video Bambi, went home, roared his eyes out, and he was an alpha male, this man, and he came into a group of 15 men and strongly recommended it, told all of us how powerful it was. Meditating and counselling are also strongly recommended. There might be issues in your past that writing it out won't work for you. You may have been traumatised by something that you just can't get past. So seeing your GP and arranging for counselling would start a process of healing and recovery. The coping strategies are like a tool bag. Having just one won't work. You need the whole range so that it can be adapted to whatever situation you're in.